The Nimble with Numbers team presents Chalk Blocked with Bo Big Time McBrayer.
I gotta know what a $5 shake tastes like.
That's not.
I want winning, folks. You don't know diddly.
And his partner, Scott Stag Simpson.
Do you know who I am?
Trying to put Tiger Bomb on this jungle's nuts.
That's cute. I remember when I had my first beer.
I gotta catch a glimpse of these warlocks. Let's make a move. Let's make a move. Let's make a move.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to Chalk Blocked, the world's sexiest DFS show for now. This is a Nimble with Numbers production. There he is, Nimble Scotty Stacks in the his house, all the way from the Beltway of Washington, D.C. He's got his vape. We're feeling good. I am full of ribs. Scott, unbelievable Saturday, wrapping up with this show before week 2 Sunday slate. 10 in the morning for me, 10 in the early window for you, and 3 in the late window. What's up with that?
Yeah, I'm sorry that you have to wake up at 10 a.m. and watch football on Sunday. That sounds like a terrible, terrible life. That you
I have a 7 a.m. alarm, so I have time to go through my 46 lineups.
That would be the only thing. I think I get a little freaked out when I have a lot to do and I'm late for church or whatever, and I don't have enough time. If I woke up at 10 o'clock and football started right then, I mean that would just be unbelievable. Like I would
think about when they do the games in Europe, it starts at 6:30 in the morning.
That's fucked up, man. I'm sorry to the kids for the cussing.
Well, and then on Thanksgiving, the Lions game starts at 9.
You can't even get your turkey in the oven before.
Oh no, we eat during the afternoon, like the game that starts at 1:15 Pacific time. We're eating dinner probably in the third quarter of that game. And maybe even to start the Thursday night game at 5:20. That's where we might be still eating then.
You know what? I'm
pumpkin pie land.
I like eating all day long. I might have to do my Thanksgiving here in Maryland and then catch the Taylor Swift jet across the country real quick and join you for a second Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah,
in NorCal. So,
well, if it's a 7-hour flight, you're still only getting here in like 4 hours because of the time. You'll be jet lagged as hell, but.
Hey, you know what? I'll be eating tryptophan-laced turkey and drinking wine. And
the turkey will be massaged for 3 days before I cook it.
Hey, listen, no Deshaun Watson references. Not that early in the show. No.
Unlike Deshaun Watson, my turkey's good.
Yeah, your turkey is not, squandering $250 million for a franchise right now. But we'll talk about that.
That was their choice. They can get both sides are dumb.
Oh, they're ridiculously dumb.
You're both off. You're both awful.
Yeah. If you don't know how the show works, thank you for everybody who's joining us. This is Chalk Blocked. We are your hosts. It is the world's sexiest DFS show for now, as Bo said. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Chalk Blocked. Go follow Bo_McBigTime on Twitter. And then go give him some patronage at bigtimeflavorco.com. No, it's not the Sphere, though it looks like it is the Las Vegas Sphere, where they're fighting the UFC. I think, El Noche tonight. Is that going on?
Noche UFC 306.
Pretty cool.
But if my logo is one day on the side of the Sphere like that, then that'd be cool.
That would be dope. It looks perfect. It looks like it would fit there. Let's hack them. Let's put the Big Time Flavor Co up on there.
I did hang out with Anthony today because we had the same barber, and him and his son were getting a haircut right after me. So Anthony was supposed to be fighting tonight, but it got rescheduled to October 19th. Main event on Fight Night at the Apex. So he forewent an opportunity to fight at the Sphere tonight for a main event 5-round fight against Michel Pereira.
You know what? That's going to be a great fight. And your boy, he's won several in a row, by the way.
5 in a row with 4 finishes.
Yeah, he's been unstoppable. So just like your products, they're unstoppable. Your taco sizzin', it's taco
El cock.
I was all over it today. I was taco seasoning myself. It's my favorite, Bo. I put it on my wings and I put it on my pork. So it is what it is.
I had so many ribs today, and I know that my ribs could stack up with most of them. The champion ribs today, unbelievable.
Well, we're gonna just dive into this, slate, just like we're diving into this food talk, because man, we do love some football and we love eating it up. We use the Run the Sims Classic Optimizer here. It's the brainchild of Pat Mayo and Justin Freeman. What it does is it helps us to kind of project the rostership, look for the leverage, and then make some educated plays based on that. Thanks to all the friends in the chat, by the way, Craig, Taylor, Mark, Lobo, welcome, Bethany, everybody. Glad you guys are all here. So we normally, the doctor is in. We normally just run right down the slate. We start with the first game here at 1 p.m. and we get to the later 4:25 games at the end. So, Bo, without further ado, let's jump right into this first game. And this is the Las Vegas Raiders, who are traveling.
The Raiders.
It was an 8. I think it was 7.5. The line is moving away from the Raiders.
I wonder why.
I wonder why too. Yeah, but
weird. It's so strange that the terrible team against the good team on the road would
traveling across the East Coast
would have a large spread.
Yeah, what I'm interested to see is how is Derrick Henry only 10% projected? Is it the 67? It's a little high for the price for him.
That's super low. They're scared off by the amount of work that Justice Hill got last week, but in reality, it was just the game plan for Todd Monken was so shitty. Like he gave Derrick Henry 5 carries on the first drive, capped off by a Derrick Henry touchdown. For the rest of that game, he had 8 more carries. That's the problem, is they got spooked by the game script. They got spooked by everything going against Derrick Henry in that game plan by Todd Monken, and they're ignoring the fact that the KC defense in week 1 was stellar.
Yeah,
and Las Vegas's defense is not quite as stellar as Kansas City's.
Didn't they give up like 130 yards to J.K. Dobbins on like 10 carries, something like that? Like,
he busted 2 long ones.
Yeah, big 65-yard run. This is a match made in heaven. I'm not going to lie. I did put in a bet. I built some parlays. I like to do that. I like to win some,
You saw the one I did.
I did. I saw yours. I got a winner going. I've got a double TD parlay that's got Derrick Henry in it, 2 tutties. It's definitely a potential possibility given the kind of the offense that the Ravens run, the high octane, being able to get the ball. I mean, you got Isaiah Likely's emergence. I do like that. Are you in the range? We kind of go game by game, but in that range, there's other players. Do you like Henry more than, say, Ramondre Stevenson in that same range? Or
other I think I'm surprised the ownership is so low, because Derrick Henry for me is underpriced. And so that's a really nice tournament play. Derrick Henry is like your Tyreek Hill of running backs. Traditionally, if we look at the biggest DFS performances over the last 3 years, a good number of them are by Derrick Henry from the running back position. And a lot of times we were paying $8K for him. And so having him at 6,700, he didn't look bad last week. He just got bottled up, except for on the first drive. And then they kind of abandoned the running game. So we didn't get to see what Derrick Henry could do, because Justice Hill caught 6 balls last week, but he only had 1 rushing attempt. That tells you it's all game script. If they were in more running situations against Kansas City, or if they ran the ball in more of those running situations against Kansas City, Derrick Henry would be telling a different story, and he'd probably be more expensive.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some leverage here over the field too. The optimal rate is 11. The projected ownership is 10. It could change, but
look at that ceiling. That ceiling's nice.
The ceiling is nice. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get 6 targets, 5 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. But you can get 100 yards, 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting 22, 23 points out of Derrick Henry, that's solid. But
look at that next guy, though. That's sexy. Shout out NorCal right here.
Oh, your boy Brock Bowers. Yeah, I mean, he was targeted the most by Minshew last week. I think he had
4,400 for Brock Bowers. Yeah. Ring it up. I am gonna pay up. I'm gonna pay for all the 4,400 all the Brock Bowers, especially when he's not gonna be heavily rostered. That's the beauty of that, is I think that offense runs through 2 guys through the air. Minshew is looking for Devontae Adams, and obviously he's looking for Brock Bowers because he's a little tight ends are like a binky for a quarterback like Gardner Minshew. He's a conservative passer. He's got some flair to him, which kind of belies how conservative he really is as a passer. And Brock Bowers is always open. He's a freak. He is a freak, guys.
And in this little freak matchup, we're going to go Derrick Henry running it back to Brock. So we got a little freak on freak.
Yes,
you don't have to
aliens.
stack with quarterback.
Those are two aliens in the NFL.
Yeah, I'll give us a 3% stack. And if you don't know how the Run the Sim stacks work, as you build different stacks as you go through the different games, they all populate over here on the right, and then you can kind of see where you're at. You can adjust them over here as well. So they're all there. They stay there. I did like seeing Justice Hill get a little bit of, the backfield, touches, the passes. But if this is going to be a game that the Ravens are going to win, they're probably not going to win it on the back of Justice Hill. That's probably not going to be
and
the game script.
He doesn't have much of a ceiling for DFS. He's a fine, deep flex start. Like if your league has 2 or 3 flex spots in a season-long managed league, it's a fine start because he's going to get some volume. But mostly he's going to be looking at 6 to 10 touches max. And what he does with that is completely unknown because we haven't really seen a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, you'd love to see him down maybe on some wheel routes in the green zone near the red zone, things like that. But you don't need to always do that when you have Lamar Jackson who can rush the ball, and then you also have
he seems good,
King Henry. Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say it at 7,700. He's in play. He's got a projected.
Yeah.
Lamar is a pay up for QB, but he's also a play up in this game. So I do like Lamar a lot.
And you can stack him with Andrews, you can stack him with Bateman, you can stack him with Zay Flowers, and you can stack him with Isaiah Likely, because we saw if the Raiders are going to do anything similar to Kansas City, is they're going to take away Mark Andrews by bracketing him on every play, and they're going to give them the layup throws to Likely 5 yards down the field. And the Ravens will take that deal because Isaiah Likely after the catch is pretty dynamic. Right. So I think it's a fair trade. But if the Raiders think that they're going to do things differently than the Chiefs, then we might see the wake up game for Mark Andrews, because he didn't look bad last week. He just got double covered the whole game.
Yeah, and we don't have a name for this, by the way. We've got dueling banjos for 2 running backs, but double tight end run back. I don't know if it's
too tight. It's too tight.
Yeah, too tight. But I
says no one ever.
It's too tight.
Said no one ever.
It's perfect. OJ Simpson definitely said it was too tight. But
she's my Cinderella, and I'm her glass slipper.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna put up. Why am I bottoming out? I'm gonna put Lamar Jackson stack with Isaiah
off
Likely.
The rails. Off the rails.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we've officially gone too far.
Sheesh.
But for 16.9, you've got both tight ends, which are the playmakers in their offenses, and then you got Lamar, who's just the MVP. So
I would rather have the Andrews Bowers, because I think the Likely game was a little bit fluky.
I agree with you on the.
I like Isaiah Likely. I have him in a 2 tight end starting league where I punted. Like punted tight end into oblivion in a start 2 league, and I ended up with Taysom Hill and Isaiah Likely. So not a bad return there.
No, not at all. And Taysom's days are ahead of them. Don't worry. There'll be a couple months when they just get obsessed with him. They can't do anything but Taysom expand his package Hill. All right, let's. There's no way to massage this game into the.
Too tight.
It's too tight in this matchup here. You got Jacksonville coming off of a floundering, flubbing last couple quarters against the Dolphins. They kind of punched the game away, choked it away. They gave up lots of yards to Tua and Tyreek and Waddle. Obviously, there's some speed demons. On the other side, the Cleveland Browns looked dead last week, like dead.
Awful.
No soul, awful. No heart.
Boy, was I wrong about that game. I thought it would go the opposite way. I didn't think the Cowboys had any balls to them this year. And they showed up and they went into Cleveland and laid the lumber on the Browns.
Yeah, they laid it down. Just like everyone's laying down the chalk on Jordan Akins here. 13%. Yeah. I get Njoku because Njoku's not there. That's the only reason. That's it.
But they got 3 good wide receivers. They got a good pass catching running back. They don't need David Njoku to be dynamic. It's not like David Njoku is lighting the world on fire with a bunch of targets.
Yeah, and Jordan Akins isn't Njoku.
He's not good. He's not a receiver. He's a good blocker.
He's a great blocker.
He's tall. He's really tall.
He's a biggins. He's a big guy.
Yeah. And Ingram being cheaper than him, or more leveraged is pretty shocking.
Yeah, I mean, after that disappointing performance, I think he had 2.2, 1.2, something like that last week. Yeah. Depressed. Hey, let it go down. I do like Ingram this week. I'll tell you who I really like, though, is this guy here, Brian Thomas.
We called it last week, did we not?
We did call it. We wrote about it for wide receiver 2 theory. We called it.
His touchdown was a thing of beauty as a pass. What a throw by Trevor Lawrence.
And it was against Jalen Ramsey, too. So in case you want to know, he got signed earlier. I mean, he's already signed, but he re-signed earlier in the week, the largest deal for any cornerback, highest pick. And then Brian Thomas went out in the end zone.
Barbecued him.
Just roasted him. It was great. So I'm into Brian Thomas Jr. 4 for 4. I think he had 47 and a touchdown. So he looks like he's going to fulfill that role for them. And he's only 7% rostered. So
and at 4,800 with his upside, that's insanity because Cleveland pass defense last year was great. Myles Garrett obviously causes some wreckage there. They have good corners, but they got diced up last week. Brandon Cooks got loose for a touchdown. They just kind of looked a little off last week. They got dominated by a pretty unproven Dallas offensive line. And the Jags looked okay in the first half, at least on offense, where they kind of got super duper conservative. That's a Doug Peterson special there in the second half, where they just kind of gave the game to Miami.
Yeah, and that's the problem. There is how they I don't know how they call their plays, how they run their offense. It's not saying they don't trust Trevor Lawrence all the way, but he can't do everything yet. He's not doing everything yet. So
Deshaun Welfare Queen Watson over here got his check cashed and he ain't doing shit anymore. You can't tell him shit. You can't even bring new evidence of a more serious crime against him. He don't give a shit.
Nope.
This guy does not care. He doesn't like football anymore. You could tell his body language sucks. He's not leading his men. He's not a leader of men on the field. Obvious shocker. I mean, look at the caliber of human being he's projected as. It's no mystery to see why Deshaun Watson has never been his Houston self in what this is his now third season in Cleveland.
Yeah,
gross, disgusting.
Well, Travion Walker and Josh Allen or Hines Allen, they're gonna come. They're gonna come for him. So it's on. They could be 0-2 after being a playoff team last year, basically.
Yeah.
Playoff.
on the back of their defense and 5 different quarterbacks. Flacco was better than Deshaun Watson last year. So I mean, what are you gonna do? I want to see some Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I do too. Do you want to build a stack here at all in this matchup with Brian Thomas? Maybe run it back with Jerome Ford. How are you looking to play this game? If you're
I want a little bit of Jerome Ford, but the stack with Brian Thomas is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I like either of the QBs in this game. Trevor Lawrence has not done enough to show me that.
And the upside isn't there against a pretty good defense. It's a decent defense there in Cleveland. They're not as good as they were last year, but
I like
they're still. Yeah. Oh yeah. 41.5. They're going. I'd say it's 38 or 39.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's a defensive touchdown that could tilt the board either way. You know, if Jacksonville takes Deshaun Watson back, that could kind of, either make or it could just make it a blowout and then they don't get I don't know. The first couple games I'm not enamored with. That's a good way to transition into the Jets and Aaron AARP Rodgers. We're going to call him from now on. Bro can't move around the pocket at all. He was Kirk Cousins. Not that bad. He wasn't as bad as Kirk, but he can't move. He can't run. What made him great, too, was his ability to scramble, roll outside the pocket, and unleash hell.
Where do you think Patrick Mahomes and Caleb Williams modeled their style after? It was prime Aaron Rodgers, where if you got out of the pocket, he was going to dice you up one way or the other. He's either going to find somebody wide open or he's going to take the 10, 15 yards on the ground. He doesn't have that element of that edge against the defense where if you get outflanked by the quarterback, you're dead. It's a serious thing. And so if you take away a pretty good weapon like that mobility that Rodgers used to have, he's not the same guy. And they run a stagnant offense because it's Aaron Rodgers' offense with Nathaniel Hackett, and they don't run motion. They don't have any mystery to it. It's just they rely on good execution. And Aaron Rodgers wasn't sharp against the 49ers at all. Like, you could tell he was rusty. And that's a really tough team to make your debut against, especially coming off an Achilles tear. Tennessee's another tough defense. That's another quality defense with some good defenders. So I kind of think that Tennessee is going to have their way here at home, especially on the ground. We saw Jordan Mason absolutely carve up the Jets interior, or at least the offensive line did. They were running that inside zone at will against the Jets on Monday night. And so Tennessee can run that same game. They have a similar offense, and they have Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard broke the 26-yard touchdown run last week. He's where I'm starting here for Tennessee. 5,900 for a guy who's 5% owned, and he's got a crazy upside. And they're going to keep testing that inside zone until the Jets prove they can stop it or at least slow it down.
Yeah, and this might be a dueling banjos situation here.
Oh, with Brees Hall? Hell yeah.
Yeah, Brees Hall, he is rostered 30%, and so that's a little
Worth
negative.
Worth it.
I think if you build around him, you can mitigate some of that other kind of ununiqueness of your build and make it a little more unique. But he is on the field. He's never coming off the field. He's Braylon Allen isn't a thing.
Full-time back.
And he even got a couple snaps when Rodgers wasn't on the field too, which, by the way, I thought that was interesting. Rodgers just saying, "Hey, listen, guys, I'm out. We're done. I mean, It's over. It's over, baby." Yeah, which is fine. Rather have that.
Save myself for marriage.
I mean, yeah, right. I promise.
I really wish you would have saved yourself for marriage instead of getting BJ's from Olivia Munn, Aaron.
Way to go. Now look how that turned out. John Mulaney. No, but anyway,
they're all wonderful people, by the way.
They are. God bless them all. I do like this dueling banjos. Let's build a stack where we attack it with RB, which is fun. I'm
also going to do the Tony Pollard Tennessee defense stack. That's not on the board here, but it's a footnote to this game that I will be doing that.
I mean, here's the thing too. There's like some guy named like Sneed who went over from the Chiefs.
L'Jarius Sneed.
I've heard of that guy. He's not in the Grinch anymore. He moved on.
Lots of Sneed.
Lots of Sneed there.
Lorax is looking for him still.
Oh, he needs him. He needs the need. But it's going to be a little bit tight for our boy Garrett Wilson. He did get like 11, 12 targets, 6 receptions, but everybody knows he's coming. Everybody knows the ball is it's a 3-pronged attack right now.
Pause.
He's coming. He's coming.
Everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it, right? And so also, by the way, can Garrett Wilson get a jersey that fucking fits him? I don't understand. Why is he wearing like a jersey that's way too big for him?
He just didn't wear the cuffed sleeves. Like,
no, it's his neck thing too. His neck's like this. I could see his shoulder pads and shit. Like,
but he had the loose quarterback sleeves instead of the cuffed ones.
I'm okay with that. It's the neck.
Yeah, I thought it looked sharp.
It does, except when he gets like pulled around and gets, he just looks like he
got locked down by Diamador Lenore, the Oregon Duck.
He did. Yeah, we can't do the defensive stack. We're working on that, but I do like that.
Come on, Justin. You can do this. Justin Freeman, if you're watching this,
we can do it.
Please build a RB DST stack for us. Please and thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Much obliged.
Speaking of RBs, Jordan Mason, I heard earlier, free square this week. Everyone's just starting at 52. What do you think about that? Because for me, if you have 5,200, you also have 5,400. J.K. Dobbins is 5,400. How are you looking at the Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins kind of they're equal in price, but then the percentage of rostership is just 40%. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, we think about if you're in a large tournament, you might not want to reach that number with your own exposure. Like maybe I'll have 20 to 25% of my lineups with Jordan Mason because he is kind of a free square where the Niners could literally put a pregnant kangaroo as running back and get 6 yards of play. And so Jordan Mason last week lost in his 28 carries for 140 yards was the fact that he was running through truck-sized running lanes all game long. And he broke a few tackles. He looked really strong. He looked fresh, which is great. But he's got the easiest job in the world. Just like get the handoff, find where the zone blocking is taking you, and just cut back into this gigantic running lane. And then hopefully you meet a linebacker or safety and you can break a tackle or two and keep chewing up yards. That's what he did against the Jets. You want that free square in a lot of lineups, but I'm going to say cash games of absolutely. Single entry or 3 max tournaments, absolutely. In a GPP, maybe I'm going to be a little bit under the ownership percentage of my own exposure, but I definitely want a piece of that. Jordan, he's too cheap, he's too efficient, and he's got such a crazy high floor against Minnesota.
Yeah. And last week, the Minnesota Vikings defense did pretty well against Devin Singletary, but they're playing against Devin Singletary and the Giants. And so it's a false flag operation here. They only gave up 45 yards.
The
21
Giants are so bad. God.
They're so bad. So this is going to be an adjusted stat.
Oh yeah.
I do like them both. I might have.
I don't think we expected the Jets to get chewed up like they did. Really.
No. Well, I mean, if you can't get Alan Lazard dropping passes, that's something he's got to catch.
He caught a touchdown though.
I know.
At first, I didn't think he was still a real NFL caliber player, but then he was that nice slot vertical route on the free play that Aaron Rodgers made, and that was nice.
Yeah. I got to tell you, another red here is not great with Deebo Samuel, but I like Deebo Samuel as well. 6,800. That's as a one-off play. I think you can't go wrong. I don't think that you can go wrong. Also, if you're going to game stack this, which we will.
Yep.
What do you think this year about Sam Darnold? Are you any interest in this? He's going to be losing. He's going to be doing the no. Turdy Purdy.
His best performance was last week against an awful defense. His best performance, he started 12 for 12. He still barely cracked 200 yards. He still only threw the 2 touchdowns. And was he at 15, 16 fantasy points for Sam Darnold's best against an awful defense? And you're going to match him up against this defense? I don't think so, Tim. That's not going to be good news. Brock Purdy is the stackable quarterback here. Minnesota, of course, if you want to run it back with a guy named Justin Jefferson or even Aaron Jones, I'm all for it. That's smart. And then you can get a sprinkle of Debo or Brandon Ayuk or even George Kittle, Jordan Mason. I mean, there's so many weapons in this game to game stack. I agree with you. The high total is nice. I expect to see a pretty comfortable over in this game. Maybe just on behalf of the 49ers, because I think they're going to boat race Minnesota.
Yeah. I only concern I have is, can Minnesota score 17 points? Because I know San Francisco can score 35. But that's the only thing I'm kind of thinking about in this game.
Well, 35-17 makes it 52.
There you go. So that last little push there might get them over if they can, suck out a touchdown. Justin Jefferson last week, about 16 fantasy points. Didn't look terrible. Had some nice plays. I did stack him in one of our little builds there. 15% rostered. How are you approaching Justin Jefferson? He is still him and CeeDee Lamb, the 101s in
tasty.
It's very tasty. And not too bad leverage wise. A little negative leverage, but
13.5% optimal is sexy.
Yeah. This might be a good game stack place to camp out for your builds if you're going to be doing that.
Brock Purdy 6% makes the game stack worth it.
Yeah, that's not bad, as the kids say. And if you want to throw Jordan Mason in there and do not a Brock Purdy, and just,
you want to know why I say Brock Purdy so much for this game? Is Brian Flores is the most blitz happy defensive coordinator in the league, and last year Brock Purdy completely annihilated the blitz. Like, we're talking legendary numbers against blitz. And Brian Flores has never met a blitz he wouldn't send at any down or distance. He's sending somebody from some angle, maybe even multiple guys. And Brock Purdy maybe doesn't even have the answers to the test himself, but Kyle does in his ear before every play. Look for this. This guy will be wide open. Like, Kyle knows based on what look Brian Flores is giving him what he can put as far as a route combination, a protection package. So Brock Purdy is going to piece this defense up. I think that we're going to get more out of Brock Purdy than we will out of Mason, because Mason, it's good, but I don't think they're going to give him 28 more touches the week after he was so heavily used.
You also have to think that the Jets were one of the best teams, if not the best team, in stopping the pass last year. And so how do you beat that team? You wear. Did
you see how Sauce was smothering Ayuk?
Oh, yeah.
If you don't think Sauce Gardner's good at cornerback, you're an idiot. Because if you watch that tape, he locked Brandon Ayuk up for the whole game. And Ayuk is one of the best route runners in the whole league. Sauce completely took him out of the game.
And if you listen to the Fantasy Millionaires, which is my
you knew that.
You knew that Ayuk was not startable, and even though you drafted him in the third round or second round, you had to sit him. And if you did, paid off. I do want to build
Hopefully
one more.
Put somebody in who'd score more points. It was a rough week for unders on star players.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to build a Brock Purdy, George Kittle, because
Stone
if you are
Cold.
blitzing, if you're blitzing, and you got a little hot route, and you know maybe Debo's double,
A
or
little
Debo's
chip and turnaround for Kittle. You can see the yak.
the screen writes itself, right, kids? It's just a quick tight end, little, like you said, a little bump, little turn.
A lot of Debo. A lot of Debo.
Yeah, I do like Debo too, but you can be sneaky with Kittle because I think what I saw was less than 2% rostership. I think that's what got me, and 5,500 might be the cheapest he's going to be. Oh yeah, 2%.
Mhm.
All
baby.
season. So this is just-
baby.
Kittle goes off. Don't say I didn't warn you. That's all I have to say. So, all right.
Mhm.
Speaking of going off, this next game has got everything.
Fun. This one's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, it's got all the things you need. It's got QBs. It's got
This
RBs.
was another great playoff game last year.
They're rerunning it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after they beat them in the first round or the first round of the playoffs last year, and then they beat the Rams in the first round. Then they beat the Bucs in the second. So the first and second round opponents are their week 1 and week 2 opponents. That's kind of weird. Hey,
They were both good games.
And last week's game against the Rams was a great game too. And we found out Detroit has not solved their cornerback and their safety issue yet. They're still giving up lots of points.
The corners are a lot better though.
They haven't solved it though because they ranked 32nd against the wide receiver position, and that
was because they got touched up by Cooper Kupp.
They got cupped. Yeah, you got to cup them. Cooper Kupp had his hands right on their ball.
That could happen to anybody.
And you know what? This week they go up against two of the best in the last 7 years. Yeah, in Evans.
yes, they are absolutely both in play.
Both in play, and Chris Godwin right here.
Chris Wynn.
Yeah, he is one of my
His first name is Roderick. Rod God.
Roderick. He's one of my favorite plays this week, and apparently some other people have seen this and they want to roster him too at 13%, which is
that
fine.
Means we got Mike Evans leverage again.
I do think Mike Evans being $1,500 more expensive does not make a lot of sense, given that I think they both scored 22, 23 points.
Yeah. So they're both awesome. Yeah, and St. Brown at 10% at the top of your board to leverage off of the CD Lamb and Justin Jefferson chalk. Yes, please. Yeah, I'll take 2.
If you want to do a touchdown parlay, I would put Amon-Ra St. Brown and God Chriswin into a build, which I already have. Those are two guys I think that both find the end zone, and so
the Q tag doing God's work on Jameson Williams.
Oh, his ankle can't even walk. Probably not.
2% Jameson after what we saw last week is a gift from heaven.
Yeah, it's not good if you're afraid of Q tags. Clutch your pearls, man. Clutch your pearls.
That's the leverage of the century. I want double stack. I want game stack here. I like Baker Mayfield to back up his 4 touchdown week with another really good performance here. Doing the St. Brown and or JMO with both or one of the Bucks wide receivers. I might even sprinkle in a little Rashad White, but I'm mainly going to be looking for Jahmyr Gibbs to have a big game in this one as a pass catcher. And of course I want some Sam Laporta, Sammy Ball game. This game's got fireworks written all over it.
Oh, for sure. And Laporta disappointed last week, so he's going to bounce back this week. That's just how the ball bounces here in our.
That's just how Ben Johnson operates.
Yeah, you can't give everybody touchdowns every week.
Now with how deep their offense is, they have so many weapons.
No, they do. I love both these teams, though. This game should be one. And we didn't put a lot of huge game stacks, but I mean, I've got some 6-player game stacks here because that's crazy. But it could happen. We'll see. Is there anybody, if you're not playing this game, is there any mini stacks that you like? If you're not going to do a big build, if you're just like, hey, I want a few pieces, I don't want to eat the whole cake. How would you kind of attack this?
I'd probably do the face off with St. Brown and Evans, or St. Brown and Gibbs with Evans, or St. Brown and Gibbs with Godwin. I kind of like the 2 versus 1, leaving the quarterbacks out of it a little bit because there's some good quarterback matchups that, I mean, you're not going to get much much rushing upside from either one of those guys. So if you want to get a little different in a game stack, just go with weapons on weapons, and then go with a naked mobile quarterback like Jaden Daniels later in the slate. That's the direction I've been going.
Yeah. Also, I'm not expecting Baker to throw for 4 touchdowns. Last week when we were telling you to pound Baker, because he was playing against the Commanders. I mean, he could get 2 or 3. That's fine.
And as we know, the Commanders couldn't cover a dead body with a tarp.
No, they could not. They could not cover a CSI marathon on FX or any other place with any type of ad revenue stream. They suck. So
terrible.
Not going to be good.
It might have to do with them selecting Emmanuel Forbes over Christian Gonzalez. Oh my God. That's the dumbest draft pick I've ever seen, where you have 2 very clear tier 1 corners and they're like, no thanks. We're going to use pick 16 on the 2nd or 3rd tier guy who's really fast. Okay, Al Davis. I didn't know when you started running the Commanders.
I mean, he weighed 145 pounds. He looked like he had just
tiny. And he can't cover anybody. He's fast, but that's it. He's not Tariq Woolen. Like, Woolen is fast, but he can also cover.
Yeah, he's a ball hawk who doesn't ball hawk in the NFL. Go figure that. That doesn't make any sense. He's not a pick machine. That's just college guys. Yeah.
Christian Gonzalez is out here locking dudes up like Jamar Chase last week. What do you have? 3 for 14 against Christian Gonzalez?
Not good. Not good. Yeah. Speaking of not good, that's a good transition into this game. 38.5 is the total. It's not the lowest. It's close, but it's not the lowest. Seattle didn't look good last week on the offense, particularly passing the football. I know that
no Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, no Walker. So what do you think this is going to look like? Charbonnet, 18% roster. That's a nice percentage right there. It's a high alcohol. It's a high ABV.
Yeah. And I think he has a really solid game. He's a better receiver than Ken Walker. He caught that touchdown after Walker left last week on the wheel route. And but I do think the passing game gets going a little bit more. I don't think New England's pass rush is as good as Denver's was last week. So Seattle really had to kind of adjust to more of your blitz beater mesh routes later as they got sacked and picked off in the first two plays of the game, because Denver was just dialing up the blitz in the first 2 plays, and Gino was like, oh crap, I guess I better get rid of the ball faster. And so they did, and that's when Seattle's offense kicked it into high gear, and they ran all over him after that. It was pretty good to see that Ryan Grubb inaugural game for Seattle, where he made in-game adjustments to his game plan that worked swimmingly against Denver. New England's defense isn't going to get after Geno Smith as well, although they have a guy on their defense that is included in my giant $10 for $2,400 parlay. To get more than a half a sack.
Who is it?
It's my guy. My guy. Where is he? Keon White.
Ooh.
Keon White is if you watch any Patriots tape, he jumps off the screen. This guy is so good. And he's like your Mona Lisa type guy. He's like no emotion. He's just like deadpan, go to work. And you could tell he's a Belichick guy. Like,
yeah. Well, they traded Matthew, so they needed somebody to be able to step up and
he reminds me of Richard Seymour.
Ooh, that's a badass motherfucker. Is that
badass motherfucker? Like a huge motherfucker who's super duper athletic for his frame. Yeah, that's Keon White.
Yeah. Now I'm worried about this game's total. I could see this being a 14.
I think that's a pretty fair number.
I do too. It kind of makes me shy away from stacking the wide receivers.
Oh yeah,
running the wide receivers on anything.
The Jacoby Brissett thing, yeah, that's not going to be conducive to DFS upside. I'm afraid.
No,
I need the Drake May thing to at least get started soon, so we can see what this kid's all about. The Brissett thing, I don't get. I don't understand why they're doing that, because it's not like he's really mentoring Drake May. Like if you have an established starter, like a 10-year vet, and you want Drake May to sit behind that guy, then we're fine with it. Just like Tom Brady sat behind Drew Bledsoe, and Alex Smith started over Patrick Mahomes the first year. It was like, that's an established NFL starting quarterback that's starting over the rookie to show them how to prepare for being a starter in the NFL. You're not going to get that from Jacoby Brissett. He's been a backup most of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a total dumpster fire at QB with the Patriots. But with that being said, the defenses I think are both they're both under-owned, and they're 3K and 2.8K. That is
yeah, and honestly, Gerard Mayo's defense looked really good last week. It was pretty surprising. They put the clamps on the Bengals.
Yep. Yeah, they stopped the rushing attack. They stopped their passing attack. I think they're going to be a team that does
Keon White and Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, just ugly wins, just nastiness, just toughness. So, yeah, defense. Play the defense in this game. All right, now to your boys, and I'm excited about your boys. I know you're a little bit. This is where you're kind of your bias or your fandom, whatever it is. It does get a little bit cloudy for you sometimes. Last week you predicted a big blowout, and Dallas looked really strong. At Brandon Cooks
way better than I thought they would.
Way better. So
I'm not ready to crown them yet. I'm not ready to crown them yet.
These two teams will look the best last week. Two of the best looking teams.
They did.
New Orleans win
they both won in blowouts. They both looked fine.
But
yeah, we didn't expect the Browns to be as bad as the Panthers, but that happened.
Yeah. With that being said, we had some disappointments. Chris Olave did not show up last week.
Game script.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb really didn't show up last week either. So both these guys are the high price plays here. They're also the most rostered, obviously, for this contest. For the GPP bros are in full effect.
Mm-hmm.
How are you processing this game? Who are you targeting? Are you stack attacking? What are you doing?
I'm going to pick the under in this game. I think it'll be a good game, a close game, but I'm taking the under. I think the defenses are both going to be pretty stout, so I don't see a lot of upside, but I have my eyes on Alvin Kamara. Because of the receiving volume that he's going to get. The way that Dallas's defense works now with Mike Zimmer is they kind of make you dump the ball off a lot. And Derek Carr is very happy to just offload the ball to Alvin Kamara and let him run after the catch. That's a big part of this offense. And it's kind of like with this is Clint Kubiak as the offensive coordinator, as a Shanahan disciple. They want to treat Kamara like he's the Christian McCaffrey of this offense. And then we saw that the first week where Taysom Hill didn't do a lot. He got some carries, he did some things, but it wasn't like the Taysom Hill show of old where it was almost like you if Alvin Kamara got stopped inside the 5, he was coming out of the game for some reason. And this is one of the best touchdown scorers we've seen in this era of football is Alvin Kamara. So I think that this Clint Kubiak system is going to pay some respect to Alvin Kamara's skill as a playmaker, and they're going to feature him. They're going to feature him both as a ball carrier and as a pass catcher, and that kind of sacrifices a little bit of volume for Chris Olave. The tight ends got a little bit more run last week. Rashid Shaheed had a touchdown on a broken coverage. So this offense is dynamic. The first time we've seen Derek Carr actually see open receivers in the red zone. That's a product of the system because we haven't seen that Derek Carr in 9 years.
Yeah, he maybe finally figuring it out. Maybe.
But this Dallas defense is really good. They're so talented. They're banged up at corner with Deron Bland out, but I mean Trayvon Diggs is out there. They got that rookie that's just so solid. I think that Dallas's defense is going to keep this low scoring. I think that they're not going to have as easy of a time against New Orleans defense as they had with Cleveland last week. The running game's still a big question mark for Dallas.
It really is. Zeke looked good though. I made fun of Zeke. I said he was washed during the summer because he looked fat and out of shape in training camp and was getting booked around. But yeah, he leaped a man. He
looked pretty good on that touchdown.
Yes, he did. A question for you, Brandon Cooks. Mark just jumped into the chat. And no Ferguson, he's out. How are they going to replace that? Are they going to be looking for in the middle of the field Brandon Cooks? Or are you leaning more to kind of the running back filling that void? How are they going to attack this?
It's going to have to be more CeeDee Lamb, more Brandon Cooks because their tight end depth is terrible. Luke Schoonmaker, fine player. I met him, but not worth a second round pick. And it's obviously evident that he wasn't worth the second round pick when your starter gets hurt and we're not just running to the window to bet on Luke Schoonmaker overs. Like that's a telling sign that you messed up at that second round pick last year. So I don't think they have enough talent at running back or tight end to really have anybody step up into that role because Ferguson is that pacifier for for CeeDee Lamb. He's looking for the big plays with CeeDee Lamb, but he's looking for that first down, move the chains with Jake Ferguson, and he doesn't have that. Jake Ferguson's a nasty, tough player. He's the heartbeat of that offense. And being without him for a week or two is going to be tough on them. They're going to have to funnel more to the wide receiver position, and I think that makes them more defendable.
Yeah. I do think at 5,600, it's not a bad value. Rashid Shaheed at 4,600. I mean, if you want to do a poor man
upside,
right?
He's a big play guy.
Play.
But guess who's active this week?
Who?
A.T. Perry.
Oh, your boy finally onto the game.
Touchdown machine. A.T. Perry. He had a jammed wrist, I think, or hand injury last week. But there's your home run. Put him in a couple lineups at 3,400. Who gives a crap? Yeah. Even Jalen Brooks out there might be kind of your step up type of receiver for the Cowboys. So those two guys I have my eyes on as deep shots at wide receiver at cheap prices. If you got a couple to throw in your last wide receiver spot, that's all you have money wise. You could do worse.
Yeah, I like that. And that game script too. I think this game will hopefully be competitive. I can see Dallas winning like 42-30, maybe. I don't know. I think it's definitely
awesome. That'd be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think you're thinking the under. I think the over in this. I just think both offenses are going to move the football.
Yeah, so, I think the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, if they win, it'll be like 24-21.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. All right. Let's go to a game I definitely do not like. Not just because I'm.
God, what a mess. We get this twice a year too. Gross.
I had to listen to, because I live in the Washington, D.C. suburbs. I had to listen to Giants fans calling into 106.7 The Fan to smack talk Commanders fans, and it's some of the saddest trash talking you're ever going to hear. It's just like
they just had to vent because they watched Saquon Barkley completely annihilate on his first Eagles game. Like that was their worst nightmare, was Saquon Barkley leaving the Giants because they didn't offer him a contract and going to the division rivals and lighting it up in the first game. Those are some sad boys. Those Giants fans are sad. They are down bad, as the kids say.
They were so down bad that they had to remind Commanders fans how down they were last year.
You're both just awful.
Well, last year the Commanders lost to Tyrod Taylor and to Danny, put him on ice, DeVito. So that's not good. That's not good.
Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, I did
Brazil and prosciutto.
Hey, gabagoo.
The chicken cutlets.
Hey, I did like last week. Our boy Jaden Daniels came out of the gates on time.
That's my cash game quarterback right there.
Yes, sir. Jaden Daniels skyrocketing. His points per dollar value skyrocketing. He's the opposite of the Boeing Starliner, whatever that's doing. He's not doing that.
Ascending,
not leaving people in space trapped to die. Anyway, with that, you gotta figure out the Boeing.
Hey, orbit is just a really wide free fall.
Right. It takes a long time. How are you playing Daniels? Because I've heard a lot of pundits saying you got to play him naked because right now he doesn't really have a focus. My partner in crime liked him with a Brian Robinson stack, which I thought
that's what I was going to say.
Very interesting.
I'm going running back, but I'm not going Robinson. I'm going Austin Eckler.
Oh, I like that. Are you running it back with anybody? Malik Neighbors, possibly.
Yes. Malik the Freak Neighbors. Put him in the slot. Brian Dable needs to pull his head out of his ass. Malik Neighbors played speed slot at LSU. And what is fucking, I can't believe it. Dable puts him first game, puts him out wide and makes him run a bunch of X routes. And guess what? Daniel Jones can't even find the boundary throws anymore.
Well, he's afraid of getting his interception to the house. He's got to get that.
Well, he holds the ball so long, and he's got the ball down by his waist. It's not up here. His ball security is still awful. I mean, it's just bad quarterbacking. We saw it last week again from Daniel Jones, where, he's going to have some blow-up games because of his mobility, but God, it's so hard to watch him play football. Jaden Daniels is next. He's so good. That guy is such an underrated passer. He didn't look bad as a passer in his NFL debut. We saw a lot of bad rookie performances, And his passing numbers weren't great, but he still looked the part as a runner, especially. But as a passer, I didn't hate it. And against this defense, the sky's the limit. Like, we should be targeting bad defenses in DFS. It's the low hanging fruit we must pick.
I mean, Daniel Jones is 5-1 and 5-1-1. He's got a tie. Sorry, against the Commanders, and he's played pretty well in these games. He's got 10 touchdowns. He's got 3 interceptions. He's got picked up a couple more on the ground, rushing touchdowns as well. He has been sacked 15 times, so he's going to pick up some sacks.
And think about this: we were just talking about how bad the Commanders secondary is. This could be your GPP buster is Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors against Washington. We just saw what Godwin and Evans did to him with Baker. Baker Mayfield's awesome. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. But Daniel Jones has some of that in him. It's just we see a lot more of the Mr. Hyde than the Dr. Jekyll these days.
Well, I mean, he comes out as Dr. Jekyll when he plays against the Commanders. Like that seems promising,
and that's a GPP buster right there for real, because they do have upside. We just don't see it very often.
Yeah, it's like when the 2 terrible high school teams in your conference
and they have a barn burner.
Like, oh shit, they can play. Oh no, they're both terrible. That's what's happening.
Yeah, they're both terrible, but this is entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. And at 4% rostered, that's a leverage point right there.
Don't go crazy. It's still Danny Dimes, but
right.
That's a sneaky one.
Yeah, make one team with Danny Dimes. Don't build your roster around Danny. Yeah. What do you think about Christian Herbert? Do you think not Christian Herbert, Justin Herbert? I'm getting my Herberts confused. Christian Hackenberg. What do you think about Justin Herbert? 5,800 is pretty cheap, and he's up against the Carolina Panthers, who made
1% owned at 5,800.
I mean, that might just be a bottoming out of his career if he can't pick up some loose change on this one. Panthers look
that's
terrible.
Yeah, the Panthers are terrible. They are. I mean, I like the direction they're going. They're on their way to a good rebuild with the people that they've been acquiring and the coaches that they've put on their staff. But they're still 2 years away. This is an awful football team. They're not NFL worthy, really, at this point. They will be in a couple years, but yeah, we should see Justin Herbert absolutely pick on this defense, just like Derek Carr did last week.
Yeah.
So Justin Herbert, 5,800, 1% owned. I don't even know if you need to stack him. Like, I don't really care about Ladd McConkey. He had that cool touchdown where he completely juked out 2 guys against the grain. That was fun. I mean, that was Ladd McConkey special, but that was pretty much the only highlight he had in the whole game.
They only had 4 catches or 4 targets.
They don't have to throw the ball that often.
Right. There's no volume for any of it because they could just plot out and play 51 plays a game and get J.K. Dobbins to run. That's all they really need.
But that was one of my hot takes is Justin Herbert would pass for 4,000 yards this year, but the Chargers wouldn't have a single 1,000-yard receiver.
I believe,
wouldn't that be remarkable to see Justin Herbert go out there and pass for 4,000 total, but none of his single guys got over 1,000? I could totally see that happen. Quentin Johnson can't catch the ball. Ladd is unproven, and then you have guys like Palmer's actually pretty solid. That might be your upside play out of all those receivers.
Yeah, if he gets volume though, like they have to be so efficient with their targets and their touchdowns. And remember Guyton a couple years ago catching all those bombs. He wasn't.
How does anybody dislike Jim Harbaugh? That's football guy's football guy.
It might be the family nepotism type thing where people are like, "Wow."
Yeah, but Jack Harbaugh is one of the coolest people ever.
It's the only thing I can think of why people would be, upset. Also,
I could if Jack Harbaugh was my football coach, I would want to coach football just to be just like him. Imagine being imagine being Jack Palmer's son and not turning into a quarterback and then a fucking great coach.
Yeah,
Jack Harbaugh gets me fired up to this day.
Yeah,
that's a football dude.
That's a bro. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I like the under in this game too, by the way. I don't know if Carolina can score. I don't know if they can score.
No.
Yeah. Might be one of those
Not
no
great.
touchdown games for them.
Khalil Mack might have himself some fun with Joey Bosa.
He might. They might do a little meeting of the QBs and
They did it
pancake
last week. They
Bryce
looked
Harper.
pretty good.
Yeah, Bryce Harper. Call him Bryce Harper. Bryce Young. It's time.
Bryce Harper's slightly better,
Yeah, slightly,
but also a young prodigy. I mean, Bryce Young was like almost a perfect 10 prospect out of high school, and Bryce Harper didn't even go to college. he went to community college at 17 years old so he could turn pro.
so he could hit thundersticks. So
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's awesome.
yeah. All right, next game, Indianapolis travels to Green Bay.
This one's interesting.
Yeah, Malik Willis, he averages 8 completions per game in the start season. That's bad. That's real bad.
but that was in Tennessee with
so
terrible offenses.
okay, so he's guaranteed 12 pass completions this game.
So
I hear you.
there is a the 6 degrees of separation quarterback edition. There's a perfect love triangle of quarterbacks between the Titans and the Packers. So Sean Clifford, the Packers backup before they traded for Malik Willis, went to Penn State and beat out Will Levis for the starting job in Penn State. That made Will Levis transfer to Kentucky, get drafted very high, second round pick by the Titans, and took the job over Malik Willis. Obviously, Willis didn't develop anything, but now Willis goes to Green Bay and ends up starting over Sean Clifford. What is going on here? It's the quarterback love triangle. No degrees of separation.
No, none.
It's a triangle jerk.
It's one of those like who's looking at whose eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
here's what I'll say though. I love Richardson, obviously. 4% owned at Richardson. Green Bay's defense is okay. It is average. It's got lots of great players, great names. They are a good defense on paper. They didn't look great last week. They got lit up pretty good by Philly in Brazil. And Malik Willis isn't that bad. He's bad. But in this system, with all the weapons Green Bay has, Jordan Love had a really nice setup, great wide receiver core, 2 good tight ends, 2 good running backs, and a good offensive line. And Matt LaFleur is their coach, calling the plays. I think if there's any chance for Malik Willis to be a successful NFL quarterback in any dimension, it comes in this kind of game against an Indy defense that's
yeah. If you can get a few passes to Christian Watson and Jaden Reed and get them in space. You saw what Reed did last week, right?
he's so good.
He stole Gardner Phillips' soul. Kobe Bryant almost came out of heaven to come down and
CJ Gardner Johnson.
CJ Gardner, sorry, I call him Charlie. So yeah, CJ Gardner Johnson. Kobe Bryant almost came down to kick his ass for changing his number to 8 after that performance.
The thing about it was that CJ had he's a free safety. You can't be letting Jaden Reed cross his face on that big post route, and so it was the reason why he got stuck. Like playing catch up against Jaden Reed, he had no chance to make that tackle. None chance to make that tackle.
No.
And it was because he was so sluggish at getting to his spot in that zone coverage.
Yeah, his pursuit angle was terrible too, and how he left
was a little bit a delayed reaction there.
His head was over his feet. You never want your head over your feet. I'm sorry.
I knew based on how that play developed that he wasn't even going to touch Reed, and he did not.
No, he did not. And it wasn't even that much of a cutback either. It was more of a changing direction of your
It was
car.
on that slick field, so he just kind of stopped and let him go by.
Yes. So, I mean, listen, 6K, 5K, you want to make a crazy lineup. You put both those guys in or one of those guys in with Willis, they're 10K. You've got 10, you've only, so I'm not going to say I do it, but,
Josh Jacobs is going to get a workload.
Yeah, I would say that is the key here. I love little dueling banjos here. This would be
what is
me.
going on? Josh Jacobs is 3%. Jonathan Taylor 4%. I get that they're both kind of expensive, especially JT, but they got that upside.
But still, I don't know if you know this, Bo. I've been paying attention a little bit. The data has come out recently that yes, passing is up, but the efficiency of passing is
way down. Lots of shell coverage. It's causing a lot of check downs. It's causing a lot of short routes. it's causing a lot of compromise. The offenses can't take and exploit the defenses deep anymore.
No.
So those deep crossers, those deep comebacks, they're covered. You have to be able to beat cover 2 shell with the seam routes, with the post corner routes where you double move the safety that's deep and get your guy into space. And then you just kind of hit the underbelly on the boundary in between the corner and the safety. And these offenses are struggling to make those throws because a lot of these quarterbacks in the league are not elite. They're not Mahomes. They're not Josh Allen. Those 2 guys can just take apart cover 2, even if they can't go deep per se with the go routes because it's covered, or the deep post, it goes right into the coverage. That's okay with a good quarterback. But if you have a mediocre to worse quarterback throwing the ball, he's not going to be able to exploit cover 2.
No. What you can do with cover 2 is you can exploit the running game because you don't have as many people in the box. You guys heard about the light box? I want to get too.
Boxes have never been lighter. Well, they haven't been light. They haven't been lighter this decade.
Yeah, this is the lightest the box has been, and probably because it's waxed. But anyway, we've just been off the rails today. But I do like Jonathan Taylor. Also, he's my second player or third player for a double touchdown bet. I put him.
Dang.
Yeah, I like me some Jonathan Taylor double touchdown. Or Anthony Richardson as well. Like somebody on the rushing side for Indianapolis is going to eat, not just because Saquon ate, but because they have the ability to eat. So I think it's going to be Richardson or Jonathan Taylor. I don't think I'd stack, but I'd play one or both.
I would love it to be Jonathan Taylor for the analytics department league.
Oh no, yeah. Well, hey, I'm not playing.
Yeah, that was fun. How did that go for you, Scott?
I could have put a better contest together if I would have taken T. Higgins out of the lineup and put in a player.
Yeah, I don't know what you're thinking there.
Well, I'm thinking that I've got 9,000 teams, and I forgot to manage.
No excuses.
I know. Speaking of no excuses, Matthew Stafford throwing the football like 50 fucking times. No Puka Nacua, almost won the game. Just with Cooper Kupp alone. This week, Cooper Kupp.
Smash
22%. It was higher earlier. It was, I think,
smash it hard
everywhere.
7,600 is cheap for Cooper Kupp, and that's why he's chalky.
8,100 next week at least. So maybe even more.
Cody Parkinson, is that his name?
Yeah, Colby,
the cheese Parkinson.
Yes,
Colby Jack Parkinson,
Munster cheese himself. I'm into this 3,100. There's no Puka. You saw last week he was getting targets.
And Tyler Johnson, didn't he look good last week?
Oh yeah. Ex Tampa Bay Buck.
Yep.
TJ.
He's got a lot less competition this year for attention from his quarterback.
DeMarcus Robinson, not great.
Yeah, he's always been kind of okay.
Yeah, but he just didn't. Last week he had 7 targets. He didn't do really much anything with those. Tyler Johnson,
sneaky Michael Wilson over here.
A touchdown last week. I saw that. I noticed that. Yeah.
And then you got Laquan's favorite guy. We're going to Dorchland, get a churro at Dorchland.
Love me some Dorch. I got Dorch everywhere. It was so funny to hear people say, pick up Dorch on the waiver wire. I said it myself too this week because I was doing a show. I drafted him. He's on all my teams. So good luck with in the league I'm in. I've got him.
Well, and I think Dorch is more of a cash game play because he doesn't have a lot of upside at all.
He's got nothing.
He's going to get lots of targets at or near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. What do you think about Kyron Williams? He should be a little more rostered.
Overrated. I'm fading him.
You're fading him this week?
Yeah.
I'd rather have Kupp, but I mean, it's hard to fade him though.
I know I'm not completely fading it. I just think that he might score 1 touchdown, but I don't think he gets there on yardage. I don't think he has big play ability. Like he might fall into the end zone. He's a lot like James Conner in a way. He's going to get a lot of volume, and he might fall into the end zone once or twice, which would pay it off. But that's all you're going to get. I don't agree with the 32-point ceiling. I don't think he comes anywhere near that.
Yeah, that's a bit outrageous. I think Connor's 27-point ceiling is more like 24. But
right, and I'd rather have Connor this week, honestly.
I actually picked him in one of my touchdown parlays, not for double touchdown, but just for single. I think he finds the end zone. So He's got leverage too, and he's got a little 4.3. That's good. So Connor, definitely somebody to target. Do you want to build a stack of this game? It's got 47.5 implied points. That's good. You want points.
Kyler and Cup and McBride.
Oh,
I can't quit Marvin Harrison either. I think he had a really bad showing in his first game, but I believe all the negative talk around his performance last week is going to light a fire under him, and he's pretty talented. So I'm not going to get skunked out when Marvin Harrison shows up because he's just too good.
I did see something that was kind of weird where Kyler said that he doesn't own many targets, something like that. You know,
it was more like it wasn't his job to focus on Harrison in the offense.
Right.
It's like he's going to go through his progressions. I get what he was trying to say. It just came off as like kind of indignant in a snapshot. Like they kind of took it out of context of what he actually said. Nice. But it is the offensive coordinator's job to game plan for your top 5 draft pick and to feature him in the passing game. They didn't do that. And he also didn't really have a good game running routes. It was kind of weird how he just kind of was going through the motions. But it was also Kyler Murray just kind of just seeing like going through. It wasn't like Marvin Harrison had very many first read opportunities. And that goes back to the offensive coordinator. That's all Kyler was saying was that, hey, I obviously would love to look for this guy more, but that's not what was called.
Yeah. Well, he was streaking to the end zone at one point, and
that would have been nice. That would have been nice. Told you so. Because other than that, one catch for 4 yards, that does not pay the bills.
No, but that does scare away the rostership, and he is only 3% rostered. So he's a
little bit overpriced too.
Yes, he is. I agree. I think 6,900. There's other players I'd rather roster, so that's chasing away some people too. But if this game goes, I mean, Kyler Murray scored 28 points, 29 points last week in Buffalo. So this offense is gonna just run around, and
they're not bad. They're not. Neither one of these teams is bad.
No, I think
this game the NFC West division is loaded.
Yeah, play the over in this game, kids. This game will get there. So, the next game, and I don't want to watch this game, except I do want to see, T.J. Watt destroying Bo Nix. I want to see T.J. Watt Knicks. That's what I want to see.
It's very likely to happen.
It could. He could pick up 2 sacks in this game,
or more.
And Bo Nix not looking great last week at all. But he has a tight end, 2,900. Greg Dulcich.
There's your instead of Jordan Akins, go with Greg Dulcich here.
Yes, the Solch. I like this play. He's going to have to get the ball out quick. He's going to have to
short passing. Look at Dulcich, and you look for a bounce back game from Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yeah, negative ADOT is what we're looking for in this game.
Yeah,
we just chucking it as soon as he gets the ball, and backwards too. Jaleel. I like the PPR work. I like the targets. I like seeing him in the first quarter on like second.
And he got tripped up for a couple 5-yard losses that made his day look worse than it was.
Yeah. Javonte Williams, I'm still not sold. I've never have been. I have had 0 shares. I still have 0 shares.
He was so good in college. I just think Sean Payton hates him, that he hates Marvin Mims. Actually, he didn't even know that Marvin Mims is on the team. He knows Javonte Williams is on the team. He just doesn't like him.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't like winning, and he's going to lose this game. So there's that. Yeah.
That's very likely. Pittsburgh does not need to score touchdowns because their defense is pretty good.
You know what? And their defense is priced up at 3,500, but I would pay it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a defense.
A little, think of this. Najee, Pittsburgh, mash him up stack.
Yeah.
The Steel City stack.
5,500. Najee, last week, the Falcons are a good. Grady Jarrett, the defense is actually really strong for Atlanta.
And Najee looks really crisp. Like, that guy runs hard.
And Warren,
that's where he's from.
Not the cow that's from Nor, is it?
It is.
Oh, God damn. You know, it helps when your area is like has more people in it than any other area in the whole world. You know, except for maybe. Yeah, right. Yeah, NorCal is like the size of like 8 Marylands. How many people live in
by surface area, but not by population.
How many people live in NorCal?
Maybe a couple million, but not overall, yeah, total.
I'm
Like
gonna look
San
at
Francisco, San
now.
Francisco's only 500, 600,000, and Sacramento's 450,000. And depending on how far south you go, like if you count Fresno, there's another 150,000, but it's very rural
It says 15.78 million in
in NorCal.
NorCal.
Where's the cutoff though?
What it says is Northern California or NorCal, a fertile region stretching from Oregon to San Luis Obispo County. Is
Oh
known
wow,
for-
that San Luis Obispo County is SoCal. This is ridiculous.
They're
I
saying
demand a recount.
still there is what
Yeah.
they say. Yeah,
That's very far south,
I'm
like
just telling you-
geographically.
I'm just telling you, I'll send it
But
to
yeah,
you.
I guess the Bay Area by itself would have 5 or 6 million altogether.
Okay. I'm just because there's a lot of people you guys have. I want you guys to know that there's per person, we got a lot more people than us. So
The free world can thank NorCal for so much innovation and creation of things that make our life amazing. So I'll take that as a win still,
I mean,
despite our population.
just so-
SoCal's way more people, way more people.
just so you know, compared to where I live, we have 1 million people in my county, and so DC has a lot of people though. I probably like 8 million people. I don't know how many people.
NorCal would probably stretch from Maine to like southern Delaware. It's that big.
Yeah, I'm doing DMV population sizes. Let's see what it says for the DMV. Hopefully, it knows what the DMV is. Only like 6.5 million. So okay, yeah, we don't have as many people, but I know we didn't. Okay, well, none of the people in the DMV will be watching this Pittsburgh.
My
game.
NorCal is very rural.
Yeah, it is. It's different. You don't have a pat. You're not in Stockton. You're not in. You're not down with the choppers. And
I'm 20 minutes from Sacramento and an hour and a half from San Francisco. So I'm in the farmland. Okay.
yeah, you're farming it. All right. I will play defense, but you can't stack defenses. So we're moving on to the next game. And I want to. All right. I don't think this game is anywhere close. I think
No. Smash
rate.
the under. Smash the under too.
Yes, this is. I think Cincinnati scores 3 points, 6 points, maybe 9 points, something like that. I don't
Chiefs
think
defense is for real. Chiefs
Yes.
defense is for real.
Yeah, and T. Higgins, he's not back. He's not.
Nope.
You're not looking. No. So
I think his ankle has a lot to do with how he's playing on the franchise tag too.
Hey, listen, 18.
He's
mil.
not very happy. He's not happy.
Yeah, my ankle's still sore. With that being said, Pacheco.
They call that doing the Michael Thomas, except Michael Thomas got his contract and still didn't play.
Yeah, it's not good. I tweeted out. No one liked it today, but it should have gotten a lot of tweets. I tweeted out a picture of Michael Thomas, and I said Christian McCaffrey this year. And it's Michael Thomas. So, with that being said, Isaiah Pacheco is 1,600. Noise. I like Ramondre Stevenson went over 100 and a tutty last week against the Bengals. You can run on the Bengals. You can just mash them apparently. And I think that's what's going to happen. I can see Pacheco busting out and getting a touchdown, maybe a long one. So I love Pacheco here. How are
He's
you?
a little pricey. He doesn't have much upside, really. He needs to score touchdowns to make it worth it because he's not a pass catcher. We saw that last week. He's got bricks for hands. They will take him off the field for Samaje Perine in passing situations. Pacheco is a cash game play. 6,900 is way too expensive for him. It's a good matchup, but I think it's a cash game play, and I think that this game's just going to be a lot of punting. Because you're going to get a lot of passes, like short passes from the Bengals to get the ball out of Burrow's hands before Chris Jones squashes him.
Eats him. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Jones is way dominant, and he's going to be coming all game long. Pause.
That's what she said. I will say where I differ on you. I think that Kansas City is going to win this game like 31-7. I think they're going to. That's where I think Pacheco in the second half will just so if he can break 100, he gets a 100-yard bonus. So that's what you have to get him. He has to get a touchdown, 100-yard bonus. Those 8 extra points that you need in your lineup, whatever, for sure. So I would say no for Bo, yes for Scott when it comes to Pacheco. I am playing him in cash against you, so you already know I like him in cash. Go, but I don't. Yeah, tournament upside, I think there's other plays at 6,900 because this game doesn't have a stack. I mean, I've stacked the defense against the Chiefs defense against you. So that's kind of how I see this as another defensive stack. But with that being said, you could do weapons. Like I saw Xavier Worthy is only 8%.
Yes.
I like that. His over under on DraftKings for receiving yards is something like 41 yards. It's fucking free.
It's 46 on underdog, which is pretty good.
41. I said, holy hell, smash that. I think Worthy. I think he's a sneaky play this week for sure, just because of how fast he is. Anytime he touches the ball, anytime, he's dangerous. So
Travis Kelce seems to have a good time against the Bengals too.
Yeah, a little bit. How much is he pricing you out? Only
6,200. Cheap Kelce on the main slate. What's the rule, Scott? If Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are on the main slate, what do we do?
You play them.
You play them.
You play them. So we're gonna stack. We'll do a little stack here.
That you know why? Because rules is rules.
Those them be the rules. Actually, not wide receiver. Sorry, kids. I clicked the wrong part.
And I do think Rashee Rice has a really good game here. I'm not a huge Rashee Rice fan, but this game plan lends itself to a Rashee Rice game where he's gonna score a touchdown. He's part of my touchdown parlay.
Ooh, I like that. By the way, if we do win some of these parlays, we're gonna be rich. We should just
there will be signs. There'll be signs.
There'll be signs. Yes. I mean, I but walked into $400 last week. I forgot I even made the bet because T. Higgins was on my bet originally. I just went with the junkies. The junkies
and they voided it.
No, they just voided him. I thought they voided the whole bet. I didn't realize.
No, they voided him because he didn't play any snaps.
I love that. And I was like, oh, I'm still going to win $450. Oh, shit, I already won. I won. I'm like, oh, it's my
they just trim it down to one size smaller.
I'm totally for it. So, all right, let's generate some lineups. Let's run the Sims, kids. That's what they do.
Feels like I'm running a credible rate, Harry.
I was thinking about that. one of the best movies ever, Dumb and Dumber. If you don't like it,
I like all these lineups already, except for George Pickens against the cornerback Patrick Surtain. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, he's real good. I'm not a Justin Fields truther either.
Rushing though. That's
here's why. Arthur Smith did run him last week. He did a good job, but he doesn't want him to throw the football down the field.
Not in the middle of the field. Justin Fields is a great boundary passer, but he kind of has a blind spot for deep safeties and shallow linebackers. He has trouble layering it in between zone defenses, and so they had Jesse Bates on Atlanta last week and just hovering over the middle of the field, waiting for Justin Fields to throw it over there. And Arthur Smith was like, nope, we're not even going to look there. We're going to throw it on the boundaries. And if the boundary isn't open, you're just going to tuck and run. And they got 6 field goals out of it with the win. That's all they needed. But Justin Fields rushing, he's going to get between 60 and 100 yards rushing. I have him in my touchdown bet. It might be the one that kills the parlay, but I think he's going to score a rushing touchdown in this game.
Yeah.
But Patrick Surtain against George Pickens, I lean heavily towards Surtain.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well. What do you think about this build here? I got Kyler, Zach, Mason, Kupp, Samuel, Rice, Theo Johnson, which we could probably tweak there, Trey McBride, and we might have to fix the Packers too. There's some good plays here. I like Kyler, I like the Jaden.
I like the one up there with up higher. Bowers and Williams and Kupp and McMillan and Derrick Henry and Jordan Mason and Jaden Daniels. I like that one because you know how I feel about the Arizona defense. 2,300. They're a good special teams unit. We saw the DJ Dallas return against the Bills last week. That made the best dollar to salary ratio among defenses. The Arizona Cardinals 9 points.
Yeah, I like this one up here too. That has I might want to change Kyron out of it, but
other than the Bears. The Bears had a shit ton of points in DFS with the punt return touchdown and the pick 6.
That thing was ridiculous. Jaden,
what did I say about Will Levis? He would lead the NFL in turnovers.
Yeah, you did. And he's not going to lead the NFL in turnovers because he's going to be plucked from the game. He's not going to be playing like that.
And if he is plucked from the game, the guy who's going to lead the NFL in turnovers is probably Bo Nix.
Yeah, Bo Nix. I like this one here where you have Jaden, Jordan, Brian J. Robinson Jr., Debo, Cooper, Malik. I would change the.
Oh God,
Yeah, but
that's a good lineup.
yeah. Excellent. Well, let me pull up some more lineups. We like to go head to head. You beat me last.
Ooh, Jaden Daniels, Brees Hall, Tony Pollard.
I see this one here. The only thing is Justin Fields might need to be adjusted, but the rest of the lineup looks really good. Debo, Cooper Kupp as well.
I like the they're all looking good.
Yeah.
The
All right,
Daniel Jones stack. That's funny.
Okay, here we go. This is my man Bo McBrayer's team in the Clash of
If you win 2 in a row, it's called a winning streak. It has happened before.
It has. Did you know who won last week? The last week we played last year. You might be on a heater. You don't even know. You know what I mean?
I don't remember last year. I tuned it out because I lost the overall battle, and so
yeah,
the win last year to cap it off was garbage time. Really, like it
didn't matter.
It didn't matter to me. This last week, starting the year 1-0 against you, that was a big deal. Because my team showed out pretty well. I had some very big performances. I had a couple duds too, but it was a cash lineup. It was solid, and it beat yours pretty soundly. So I feel pretty good that I'm going to make it 2-0 this week with some guy from the Beltway, Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner. Have you heard of him? He's 28.2 last week. Jerome Ford, 18.9 last week. He's got a nice soft Jaguars middle of the field. I think Najee Harris, with the volume he's going to get with Arthur Smith calling plays, Denver Broncos. I think this is going to be it's going to be a fun little matchup for that Pittsburgh running game. And Chris Godwin, God Chrisman, yes baby.
Oh yeah,
$6K for him as a steal. CD Lamb against the Saints.
Man, my boy Brian Thomas Jr., you motherfucker.
And then a shout out NorCal, Brock Bowers, the future of Las Vegas Raiders football. My God, is he good? He's so much fun.
You're dual tight ending me, you son of a bitch.
I went too tight.
That is true. I love your build here. The Cardinals.
I was surprised I got to build this one the way I did. But Brian Thomas is underpriced. Brock Bowers underpriced. And so I could afford CD Lamb because those two guys are in the 4s.
You're God Chriswin. I see you, and
that's our only match.
I'm doing the same.
Double stack in the Buccos.
I did. I went after you. I'm thinking
Jahmyr Gibbs. I love that pick.
It's a cash game or a GPP play. I think this week, just given his volume and his ability to find the end zone. So he's a touchdown machine. I got Pacheco. I'm hoping
running back the double stack Buccaneers with your guy Jahmyr Gibbs. I love that play. Cooper Kupp, huge play there. Likely, I think you're chasing last week. A little bit unlikely, but I'm also I would say the same thing about J.K. Dobbins, but I believe in him again this week because he's playing Carolina. They're going to run the shit out of the ball.
Oh yeah.
So I think I like J.K. Dobbins this week too. I don't know how long I'll believe in him, but that the Chiefs defense, because you're so down on the Bengals offense after last week. I get it.
Well, I just think that if I had enough money, I might get to Mark Andrews, but I think he is $2,000 or $200 more expensive. So I think I ran out of cash at that point. But I do like Mark
Andrews. That salary cap.
Yeah, damn salary cap. So, well, best of luck to you, folks. This has been a Bo McBrayer special since he's winning. Let's throw him some more love here over at the Big Time Flavor Co. Go get his sauces, his bundles, his seasonings. He's got recipes on here. He's got new products coming out. Click the new button. Oh, new green envy salsa verde. Oh, very sexual. And then the cock rub. You got to put the cock rub on for sure. I know your boy Fluff loves the cock rub. So
he does. I just talked to him today, and we were talking about how it's been so successful as a new product.
I love it. I don't have any of that. I actually need to get some of that. Go also patron him. He's going to get 10,000 followers this fantasy season. Go make him your buddy, your Sherpa. Go click the little notify when he goes live, all that good stuff. And
if you ask me questions, I'm going to answer every single one of them.
Yeah, and read his shit. Right. This is I read his shit last week. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, that's mine. I can't like my own. That's kind of weird. That's unlike that. I like it twice. Okay, here's Buck.
Engagement.
Yeah, engagement. But great show, Bo. We had 600 friends join us for this show. I'm thankful for every single one. Yeah, that's outstanding. Thanks.
We love most of you all watching. We love most of you.
Yeah, thank you to Beth.
The ones that we don't, you know who. Yeah, you know who you are.
Yeah, people maybe beat us in fantasy football once or twice or whatever. I'll hold it against you. But please go patron us. We love it. Let us know if you win. Send us some screenshots. And also, I forgot to put the link in here. It's somewhere on my Twitter. I'll find it. Go play in the DraftKings Fantasy Millionaires tournament. We have a tournament every week, $10. Right? I think Mike Reedy got third place last week, and Jorge was in there. Mike got second last week.
Yeah, Jorge got third.
Jorge got third. Yeah, go find that. It's somewhere in there. I forget. Go look at my Twitter, and if not, DM me and I'll send it to you. My tweets. There's too many tweets. I can't even get into them. So, well, yeah. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys on the stream next week. Which I'll be at the Outer Banks. I'll be at the beach having a great time. Yeah, we'll see you guys next.